I just saved you. No, no, sir. Okay, I am about to start broadcasting then. Good morning, everyone. We are going to get started in just a few minutes. I'm going to give everyone a chance to get signed in and get settled in. So give us about 5 minutes and then we will begin. All right, good morning and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn on using LinkedIn. Today we're going to talk about LinkedIn as a platform, how individuals and also companies can use it, examples of what to post on your LinkedIn company page, and a few additional tips as well. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. If you have questions throughout the presentation today, don't hesitate to submit them using the Q&A feature on Zoom. I will try to answer as many as I can at the end of the webinar. Also note that this webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to access the recording and the video in the near future, and we will also be posting the slides as well. If you have any trouble hearing audio or if something breaks up, just know that it is being recorded, and so you will be able to catch everything that you may have missed later. My name is Jana Stevens, and I am a content strategist for Infomedia. I have a marketing background and have run LinkedIn profiles for 3 businesses in the past. I am very familiar with all the ins and outs of LinkedIn, how it works, and what to post to inspire customers and job candidates to engage with your business. I've also taught many classes on how to enhance your personal LinkedIn profile. So I'm excited today to help you discover how you can use LinkedIn for yourself and also for your company. So let's dive in. Here's the agenda for today's webinar. So first, I'm going to give you some background about LinkedIn. Next, I'll talk to you about how you can use LinkedIn for yourself, and then we'll look at how to use it for your business. I'll follow that with some tips on creating content, and then finally, we'll look at doing a little bit more with LinkedIn. Now, you've probably heard of LinkedIn, and you may even be using it. If you're not quite sure exactly what it is, here is a little bit of background. In a nutshell, LinkedIn is a social platform for professionals, and there are over 560 million users currently on LinkedIn. It is growing every day. When you hear the words social platform, you probably think of Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and LinkedIn operates in a very similar vein. The good news is that even if you haven't delved into LinkedIn yet, it's very easy to use because it's very similar to Facebook in terms of layout and also in terms of its features. So if you know how to use Facebook, you shouldn't have any problems with picking up LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a little bit different from other social networks, though, because it's primarily used for professional networking. It allows individuals to create profiles that detail their professional experience, their education, and more. And it allows companies to create profiles as well. And those profiles can give information about what they do. Companies can post jobs and then also post updates. So essentially, LinkedIn allows job seekers and companies to connect with one another. We are all very busy these days. Many of us don't have time to attend in-person networking events as often as we'd like. So I like to say that LinkedIn is like a big virtual networking event. Before we get into LinkedIn for business, I think it's very important to talk about what you can use LinkedIn for as an individual. After all, you will need a personal LinkedIn profile before you can create one for your company. One of the most important pieces of any social platform is adding information to your profile. On Twitter and Instagram, you have the ability to create a short bio. On Facebook, you can get a little bit more detailed and add information about where you went to school, what your political affiliations are, what kind of books, movies, and TV shows you like. Because LinkedIn is a site for professionals, the information that you put on your profile is going to be very similar to what you would add to your resume. So the first thing that you'll want to do as an individual on LinkedIn is to build out your profile. So you can add in your work experience, you can add in your education, you can add any certifications that you may have, you can add volunteer experience, and so much more. You can even ask your connections to endorse you for skills or write recommendations for you. I always recommend adding as much detail as you can as you're building out your LinkedIn profile. The more detail, the better. After you've set up your profile, you can start connecting with current and former colleagues and also new professionals. You can use LinkedIn to find and apply to jobs relevant to your skill set. And LinkedIn actually has a feature where it will recommend jobs that match your skills. You can follow companies that you admire on LinkedIn or that you're interested in working for. You can join groups based on your interests or on your current profession. And LinkedIn also has an update feature as well as a publishing platform. So as you continue to add connections and as you continue to post updates, you're going to have the opportunity to have your content read by hundreds or even thousands of people. I think it's really important to share some tips that you'll want to keep in mind as you're setting up your profile. One of the things that I see most often is LinkedIn profiles with no photo. Yes, you do need to have a profile photo, and yes, it does need to be professional. So I mentioned earlier that LinkedIn is a social platform for professionals, so that means that you should represent yourself as such. So I don't recommend selfies, group photos, or pictures from the beach or your recent vacation. It just needs to have you, and it needs to be more or less a headshot. You also don't necessarily have to have a professional headshot taken. As you know, most newer phones these days have a portrait mode or can take very high resolution photos. So grab a friend, have them snap your photo, and then you can upload that to LinkedIn. You also have the ability to add a cover photo. This is not as important for individual profiles, but I do recommend adding one as you can. So you can see in the screenshot here on my personal LinkedIn, I have a cover photo that just shows Birmingham. It's where I live, it's where I work, it's the city that I enjoy being in, and so that's what I've chosen for mine. You want to make sure that your About section at the top of your profile is also filled out. This is one of those things that's not a requirement, but it's definitely something that's going to enhance your profile. It's a quick way for someone to learn about you and also your experience. You have the ability to upload attachments here as well. So you can see in the screenshot that I've included my resume as an attachment. Lastly, keep in mind that your LinkedIn profile is never fully complete. As you gain new skills and as you gain new experience in the workforce, you want to make sure that you keep your profile up to date to reflect those, just like you would a resume. While LinkedIn is a great tool for individuals looking to network, it is also ideal for businesses to connect with both job candidates and also customers. LinkedIn company pages used to be viewed primarily as a platform for HR to find job candidates. Now, this is still an important feature, but LinkedIn company pages can also be used to teach your customers more about your business, about your brand, your products, and your services. Here are a few tips to keep in mind when you're setting up your company page. Just like with an individual profile, the more detail you can include, the better. You want to make sure to add the URL of your company website. You want to add in your industry and also your specialties. You will also want to write a good description of your company. That might contain information about your business, about your products, your company's mission, your company's history, etc. Just like with individual profiles as well, you want to add a high resolution cover photo and logo. You want the cover photo to be representative of what your company does. And just as a thing to keep in mind, it shouldn't have a lot of text on it. We'll get into that a little bit later. You will have the ability to add administrators to your company page as well, so that you don't have to manage the profile on your own. Oftentimes, people who are new to LinkedIn company pages are a little bit intimidated about being the sole manager of the page or having to keep up with the updates and the content. By adding administrators, you can ensure that you have backups in case you get busy, in case you take a vacation, or just need a little bit of extra help. So once you've set up your company page and it looks great, now you're going to need people to see it. So how do you gain a following on LinkedIn? The easiest thing to do is start with your employees. They are your biggest advocates. They are your ideal resources to start growing your audience. So encourage them to follow the company page and promote it on their personal accounts. Employees can also add their position at your company to their profiles, and that links your company page to their profiles. Their profiles will also appear on your company page. And in the screenshot on this slide, you can see some Infomedia employees who appear if you go to our company page. You can also seek out followers by adding an icon or a link to a page on your website or your other social media channels. And it's also a good idea to include a link in your email signature. If there's room on your business cards, you can include the address of your LinkedIn company page there as well. The best way to continually grow your audience and get attention on LinkedIn is to publish valuable content on a regular basis. One of the most common questions I receive is, what should I post to my company page? So we're going to dive into the types of content you can publish and also look at a few examples. According to LinkedIn, companies that post weekly see a 2 times lift in engagement with their content. And posting ensures that your business is seen and followed. You should strive to share a good mix of content on your company's LinkedIn page. You can share information and updates on your products and services. You can share updates about your company and its culture. Not only do job candidates like to see these kinds of updates, but customers actually do too. It is definitely a way to humanize your company. You can share posts that recognize your employees. And again, your employees are your biggest advocates. So it's definitely a good idea to feature them from time to time. Of course, you also want to share information on your job openings. And if you run a blog for your company, you can link to blog posts via your LinkedIn company page. Additionally, you can share blogs or news articles from external sources. When doing this, you want to make sure that you do add some context and have it relate to your company in some way. So keep in mind that a variety of content is key to standing out. Your followers will tend to tune out posts that show or say the same thing over and over. So mixing it up is very important. We're going to take a look at some specific examples for each of these kinds of updates. So we'll start with an example of a product or service post. This is actually a post from one of our local Birmingham companies, Shipped, on how they recently partnered with Petco for pet product delivery. If you ever add service or product options, you should be talking about those on LinkedIn. You will also notice here how Shipped has actually tagged Petco's company page in this post, and this expands the visibility of the post. People who are not following Shipped may still see the post because they may be following Petco. Your LinkedIn company page is a great place to showcase your unique company culture. And you can post about community involvement. You can post your office space photos, unique events that your company takes part in, and so much more. So here's an example from Uber. They recently participated in a Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day. And you can see that they have a collage of some of the families that came in, some of the activities that they did. And just a nice post about it, and it links to a blog. Now, I had to include this screenshot for any Stranger Things fans out there because it made me laugh. This is another example of a company culture post, and it definitely shows Netflix's unique company culture. So it not only showcases their culture, but it also promotes a product. So Netflix shared this meme. It features one of the main characters from its show Stranger Things. And that show actually recently premiered its 3rd season just a couple of weeks ago. So this post was a good way to get a laugh, but also to remind people to watch the show. You have a great opportunity with your LinkedIn company page to share information about your employees' achievements. So here's a recent post from Infomedia about 3 members of our team who won 10 awards. When you are creating these types of posts, make sure to tag your employee or multiple employees, and that ensures that their network will also see the post. And oftentimes employees will repost this from your company page, so it just expands that reach. Airship is another great Birmingham company. They also recently shared an employee recognition post. Their president won an award, so here they've shared a couple of photos with him, his trophy, and the employees that attended the event. If your company hires someone new, you can also use LinkedIn to showcase the new hire. Here's an example from Airbnb, and they recently hired a head of global diversity and belonging. Larger companies like Airbnb or Google or Facebook tend to only share hiring announcements like this when it's someone as a part of their executive team. You may also find that your company has too many employees to share every new hire on LinkedIn, and that is totally fine. If you're part of a large organization, it makes more sense to share when you do hire your top level leaders. However, if you are part of a smaller organization or firm, you may want to share a welcome post about each one of your new hires. It's a good way to make them feel special, and it's also a good way to expand your reach because most likely they are going to share it with their personal LinkedIn pages and their followers will see as well. Here's an example of a blog post shared on a LinkedIn company page. This one is from another Birmingham company, Fleetio, and Fleetio runs a great industry-facing blog, and their posts get more views because they share them to their social platforms. So if your company has a blog, it's a great idea to share those posts to your social media accounts, and LinkedIn makes it very easy for you to do this. Now, in addition to sharing articles or blog posts that your company creates itself, you can also share external articles. So Zappos does a great job on LinkedIn of sharing a mix of updates. And this is one of their examples where they've shared an external article. So it's an article originally created by Forbes on company dress code policies and diversity. Now, remember I said earlier that you never want to share an external article on LinkedIn without context relating to your own business. So as you can see in the text of the post, they have added some information about their own company policy. You can use LinkedIn to promote your job openings. And again, this is really primarily how LinkedIn got started was to have HR share jobs and candidates to apply for jobs. So one of my favorite examples is this is Spotify. They have a unique recruiting slogan called Join the Band, and they used it in this particular post to showcase their job openings in Los Angeles. This post links to their jobs page where interested candidates can learn more. Notice here that they have also used a hashtag. We'll talk more about that later. Hashtags are a relatively new feature of LinkedIn, and again, it's a good way to expand your post's reach. And here's another example of a job opening post. The Biltmore in Asheville, North Carolina posted a really nice video that spotlights one of their team members and also advertises their job openings. Here are a few additional tips for posting content to your LinkedIn company page. You want to strive to make your posts visually appealing. So while you can just post text, it is always better to add a photo or video. Posts with visuals always receive more shares and always receive more attention. All of the example posts that we just looked at had a common thread, and that was a visual. As I mentioned before, you can add hashtags to your post as well in order to expand your reach. Make sure to do a little bit of research on which hashtags will work best for your industry and the type of post that you're creating. Hashtags are never a requirement on LinkedIn, but they do help your content get seen by a wider audience. LinkedIn also will suggest hashtags for you to use in your post. Some of these suggestions are great. Some of them you may not want to use. Again, it's just up to you to do a little bit of research about what's going to work best. I encourage companies to ask thoughtful questions on their posts. That way visitors are encouraged to leave comments and actually interact more with your content. One thing to keep in mind is that when you do have comments, you want to engage with your followers by responding. You may have noticed that in the example posts that we just looked at, each one had a unique tone. The Netflix post, for example, was a little bit more playful in tone. The Fleetio post was a little bit more serious. When you're posting to your company's LinkedIn page, you want to make sure your posts stick to your brand's voice. And remember that consistency is key when it comes to posting. Find a schedule that works for you and your business and stick to it. Posting once per weekday is ideal, but you may find that every other day may be more reasonable for you and your business. I do recommend that you try to post at least once a week. And you can also utilize a scheduling tool like Buffer or Hootsuite to schedule your posts ahead of time. Now let's jump into doing a little bit more with LinkedIn. These are a couple of additional tips for posting content to your LinkedIn company page. Just like with other social platforms, you have the ability to target your audience with ads on LinkedIn as well. If you have ever boosted a post on Facebook, you are well on your way to learning how to do the same thing on LinkedIn. LinkedIn members provide a lot of detail about themselves, their interests, and their skills in their profiles, and this means that LinkedIn has really great targeting capabilities. LinkedIn does offer a few different kinds of advertising solutions, and the most popular is sponsored content. This allows you to amplify the content that you post to reach a bigger audience and to also get more attention on your company page. You can create text ads. Those are going to be pay per click. These ads will appear on the LinkedIn homepage, on profile pages, groups pages, search results pages, and more. Finally, you can create sponsored InMail. And InMail is LinkedIn's messaging platform. Sponsored InMail is similar to email marketing, and it allows you to send personalized ads directly to LinkedIn members' inboxes. LinkedIn also provides very detailed analytics for your company page, and this is where you can start to evaluate engagement on your posts, identify trends, learn about your follower demographics, and get more information on your page traffic. It's very important to use these analytics to your advantage. By understanding what your audience engages with, you can provide more relevant content. So today we've talked about what LinkedIn is, how to use it as an individual and as a company, some tips about how you can create engaging posts for your company in order to expand your audience. And if you're not on LinkedIn, I highly recommend spending some time to create a profile for yourself and a page for your company. Now, I do want to take some time to answer any questions that were submitted during the presentation. If you have a question, now's the time to send it in, and I have a few on my list already, so we're going to get rolling with Q&A. I received a question about the best sizes for photos on LinkedIn. In my experience, it actually varies for individual profiles versus company pages. So the sizes I'm about to tell you are a good starting point, but keep in mind that they can actually be larger if you stay within the proportions. So for an individual profile photo, a square image of around 400 by 400 pixels works best. So this is a 1-to-1 ratio for width and height. For an individual's profile banner, and this is a very specific number, but LinkedIn actually will tell you this when you go to add a profile banner, is 1584 by 396 pixels. This is a 4-to-1 ratio. So again, even if you don't have an image that fits these dimensions exactly, as long as you stick to that ratio, you should be good. Now, for a profile logo for a company, it should be around 300 by 300 pixels. And a company's cover photo size is actually going to be a little bit different, around 1536 by 768 pixels. One thing to keep in mind, especially as you're adding a cover photo for your company, is that it doesn't need a lot of text in it because it's going to crop differently depending on what device you use. So if you are going to add text to your company's cover photo, just make sure that it's very, very minimal, but I often recommend just not having anything with text on it at all. Another question that I received is, do I need to engage with negative comments on LinkedIn? My rule of thumb is that you need to address every comment, positive or negative. Often people are going to pay more attention to how you respond to the negative comments. So stay positive as you are responding and try your best to take it off your profile and into direct messages. I will say that in my experience, disgruntled customers tend to take to Twitter and Facebook a lot more often with negative comments than they do with LinkedIn. It does still happen occasionally. It's a really good idea to work with your team to prepare some response guidelines in the event that a negative comment comes through. The next question, is a LinkedIn company page free? Yes, it is free. Once you get into things like advertisements, obviously that is going to have a cost associated, but just to set up a company page, that's free, just like it is with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Another question I have here is, with LinkedIn Analytics, what is the difference between clicks, impressions, and engagement? You are not the only one with questions about this. It's one of the most frequently asked questions as people start to analyze their LinkedIn trends. So clicks refers to the number of people who click on your post to either view a link that you may have shared in the post or to visit your company page. Impressions is the number of eyeballs on your post. So either someone seeing it on their newsfeed or seeing it on your company page as they're scrolling through. And engagement is the number of likes and comments, shares, and clicks. That is divided by the number of impressions. So it's going to come to you as a percentage. Here's another question that I really like. How do I get my employees to follow my LinkedIn page and engage with the brand? So in my experience, most employees will follow your page if you ask them to. And another good way is to lead by example. So start sharing content from your company page to your own personal page. And if a fellow employee sees it, they'll often share it as well. Encourage your employees to connect with one another as well. And it's a good idea to make your workplace social friendly. So you want your employees to feel empowered and free to share content. Many employers may discourage or frown upon the use of social media during work hours. So if that is, or it has been the culture of your organization in the past, you may want to make it clear that the company is behind their participation and trust employees to use social media to promote the company. All right, the last question on my list here is, when is the best time to post to LinkedIn? I also get this question a lot. And one thing to know is that these kinds of statistics are always changing. But a good rule of thumb is to keep in mind the times of day when people are getting ready for work, when they go on their lunch break, or when they go home. So that is when engagement is going to be the highest. As far as specific days of the week, I have seen that the best day to post on LinkedIn is Wednesday. Tuesdays and Thursdays also generally have high engagement as well. A lot of people use LinkedIn during the middle of the week because it's when they're feeling productive. And so that's definitely a good rule of thumb. Now, keep in mind as well that this may vary just depending on your industry. You want to, again, analyze the analytics for any of your LinkedIn posts, the engagement on your posts, and figure out what works best for you. All right, I have another question that came in. If I haven't done anything in LinkedIn, but I want to start, what is the best way to begin? And is it going to take me forever to get any traction? The best way to start is to build out that personal profile. And then if you want to move to building out your company page, again, you'll want to have a personal profile first. It will take a little while to build a following. But being consistent with the content that you post is a good way to ensure a steady following begins. And then again, just engage with those analytics, look at the reports, see what types of content that appeals to your audience, and post that kind of content. Another question, should I still connect with my company if I'm looking for a new job? The answer to that is yes. So when an employer follows your company page, it's actually a little bit different than connecting with another individual. So following the page just means that they can see the updates from your company more frequently in the feed. Looking for a new job, you know, I think that it's fine. There also is a way, if you are interested in digging more into LinkedIn, to kind of subtly let recruiters know that you're open to opportunities, and it won't show up for your company, or LinkedIn says that they do their best to not show this kinds of information to your company. So yes, follow your company, and definitely engage. I got a question about, can I use my LinkedIn page to attract the kind of employees that I want? Yes. So by adding your company's mission and values to your company page description, that's going to give candidates a heads up right then and there, that these are the types of people that we're looking for. When you are posting or sharing about job openings, you can also, again, use relevant hashtags that may appeal to the subset of employees that you're looking for. Looking at a few more questions here. All right, it looks like the questions are slowing down a little bit. I'm going to be on here for another minute or so just to see if anything else comes in. And again, these slides are going to be available soon. This recording will also be available soon. If you were not able to have a coworker see the Lunch and Learn, then we can definitely, you can share that with them once we upload the video. Thank you all for attending today. The next Lunch and Learn will not be a webinar. It is actually going to be live again at Innovation Depot. We'll be posting details about that on our blog as well. All right, thank you guys so much for attending today. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.